Hey everybody, what's up? It's Tipping the Scales. I'm your girl Shea Dawson.
And Tyneeha. What's up, everyone? Welcome back.
Welcome back. Episode 3, Tyneeha. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy. Feels like yesterday, but let's go. I'm ready.
Let's go. So today, I have the pleasure of inviting my friend, the amazing, amazing Johanna Leia. She is literally a pioneer in the game, but people don't even know. And I cannot wait to have her tell you her story. She's a real estate broker. She's been a model for 17 years. Well, 17-year modeling career with Wilhelmina and Ford. She has an amazing, amazing story as a mother. Her kids are amazing. I've met them before. Savannah and Amari, shout out to them. Tyneeha, shout out to them.
Shout out. What's up?
Johanna, how are you? How are you? Welcome.
I'm really good. Thank you guys for having me. Hi, Tyneeha. Hi, Shea.
Hi. Nice to meet you for the first time.
Yes, nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, you look stunning, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like a train.
You know that already. People tell you that all the time, so you're used to it.
You know what's so funny? So honestly, anyone who knows me knows I generally have like a bun on top of my head with my hair not brushed. My teeth are brushed. My face is washed.
That's a good thing.
Usually, and yeah, my behind is washed, and it's like
okay.
That's I feel like I'm a mess all of the time. Yeah, sorry. Yes, but I usually feel like I'm a mess. So thank you. That I appreciate that because I feel like a mess 90% of the time. So thanks.
Okay.
So
hi.
So I really wanted to have you on here because as our first guest, excuse me, because you're one of my closest friends, and I just feel like you're a mystery to people online. And I feel like I and Tyneeha were the perfect people to tell who is Johanna Leia and what is it that you're about. And I want you to tell us like a little bit, background, where you're from, and what you're doing today.
That's interesting that you should say that. I definitely get, wow, you're not like that. And it's like, well, what was I supposed to be like? Like what, I don't know. I'm a woman, I'm human, right? And I don't know. I was born in Los Angeles, but I grew up in Evanston, which is like a suburb outside of Chicago. A shout out to the people who think that suburbs of Chicago are Chicago, because they're not. But I grew up in Evanston. And yeah, I have 2 children. I have a 17-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I've been a single mom most of their lives. So yeah, we moved from Chicago to Los Angeles, and as Shea mentioned, I modeled for 17 years. I started pretty young, and at the same time, I was playing basketball. And
oh wow,
yeah,
well, tell us a little bit about that. So I'm not a baller, but I know Shea is. My son is, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But tell us a little bit about your basketball experience. We have a lot of sports fans that listen to our podcast, so they would love to know more about you as a baller.
Got it. Okay, so I played basketball. I played basketball and volleyball, but basketball was my passion. And I remember my high school coach was like, it was, get on the line, we're going to run suicides. And I was like, that's like,
That's a good exercise though, Shea.
Okay.
I can't see you no suicides.
Yeah, not. Well, it's actually funny though. Like, cause so she's like, get on the line, we're going to run suicides. And I'm like, damn, like, I give you like 22 points a game. Like, I'm not running suicides. Like,
oh, you was balling 22 points though. I'm not mad at that.
I hold a couple records at Evanston, but we won't talk about that. But so anyway, this was back in the day when like you couldn't be like a girly girl and a basketball player, so you were never taken seriously. Like shout out to the change of events. Like I love that girls can actually be girls and hoop and still like long fingernails and hairstyles and fun things. So like I love to see the evolution of where women's basketball has gone. But back then I was a joke to everybody. I mean, it was like, what? Like, girls were excited to get on the line. I was not. Like, girls like were like excited to like challenge the guys. I'm like, bro, you're gonna dunk on me. Like, I'm not playing you. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. We could shoot, we could play horse, you know, but you're not about to dunk on me. It's not happening.
Exactly.
So I was playing basketball at the time, and the coach really pissed me off. Like, she said, if I didn't run suicides in time, the whole team would run and I wasn't going to play the following game. I was like, oh, okay, well, don't put me in, and good luck on that one. And, you know,
can't win without your 22 points, huh?
Well, I wasn't really arrogant like that, but we didn't have too many bigs. Like, I was a big, like, shout out to the bigs, right? So we were guard dominant. And I'm just like, all right, well, have someone else like do it. That's fine. But I mean, I was still running. Like, I wasn't arrogant. I wasn't really being rude, but I just wasn't making time. Like, I was lollygagging through the thing. So anyway, fast forward, I don't make time. It's time for me to go get my uniform the next day to get ready for the game. My uniform is nowhere to be found. And that was it. Yeah. I was just like, you know what? I don't know. I leaned a different direction. I got an opportunity at a young age, actually at 16, to model with Elite. So I don't know if you know, but like Elite Chicago started Halle Berry's career, Cindy Crawford's career, and this was like a really big opportunity. So I took that route and I was modeling, but for fun, I would like come play at like the IIT games, which are like the girls' pro-am games. And I'll never forget, I came in with a sundress and heels on. And these girls were looking at me like, oh, hell no.
Hell no, we about to bust her ass.
We needed it. Well, look, they needed another player. And so they're like, so a friend of mine was like, yo, like, you got to come play these IIT games. So I showed up, I got off a plane from New York. I had a photo shoot. I showed up in heels and a sundress, and these girls were like, oh, we're not playing with her. She's not playing, da da da. So they put me in because the one girl got hurt, only because the one girl got hurt. And I scored a quick 8 points. And then they were like, oh, okay. And I'm like,
I know, right? She's a little 8 points.
But like, they were like even trying to get me the ball. Like, I literally, like, I got it because like I had a steal. And then like I blocked the one girl shot. So anyway, look, I had to hustle for my little measly 8 points, right?
Okay.
And then they were like, oh, okay. So I just, at that point, I was like, okay, obviously there isn't. So I just kind of went that route. So
how tall are you, by the way?
Because honestly, I'm 5'10".
Okay.
But I really wanted to go to University of Missouri, and I wanted to study broadcast journalism, and I modeled instead. And so here I am.
Awesome.
I love that. I love that. I didn't even know you actually wanted to hoop in college. Like, we never got that far.
I did. So I love basketball. I love the sport. I think basketball can save the world. I think it can change lives. I think it's a really, really unique space. I love the evolution, like I said, of girls basketball. I love that it's fly to be like a pretty baller. I mean, even if you're not a pretty baller, you're just a baller. Like, I just think that like the evolution of like what girls can get respected on now is really kind of dope. So, you know, to have been one of the older girls where it was like, I wasn't wearing, you know, just the sports bra. I mean, there were times I had worn like a regular bra, and I'm like, why do I have a regular bra? And I need a sports bra. You know, it's like the weird little stupid shit, you know, no, but like really, like as girls,
no,
like
really.
It's just, I mean, it sounds weird, and I don't want to be weird on your podcast, but like, these are like things that like have come so far. Like, I think it's dope. So I just wish I would have kind of stuck with it, but
yeah,
I totally agree.
No judgment home. I was going to say no judgment zone here, by the way. We believe in being very, very authentic. So be you.
Okay. All right.
And it's crazy because when I was in college, I got flack for being a girly girl. And, you know, I used to wear my hair half up, half down. And my coach would be like, Dawson, do you have to get ready for every game? And I'm like, yeah, like we're going to be performing in front of people. Like, and my husband could be out there. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But like, I'm out here trying to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get drafted. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to find my love in basketball.
I'm just, right. And that's the thing. So like, that was hot. That was hot when I was growing. Shout out to Love and Basketball. Yeah.
Shout out to
Great
Love
movie.
Basketball.
Right? One of the best movies ever. I love that.
Yeah.
So we have something in common from what I understand from my good co-host Shea. You have a baller.
Okay.
My son is in the NBA. He plays for the Phoenix Suns. Shout out to my boy,
Oh,
Mikhail.
wow.
Hey, son.
Hey.
But just curious, like, enlighten us. Who is your son? And tell us a little bit. I heard he has some serious game. He's number one in his class. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about him. I love stories especially from the mom's point of view.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know as a fellow mom, it's quite a journey. I think, so often they think it's easy. So shout out to you, because
thank you.
It's not easy. Maybe we make it look easy. I really don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. I still feel like I look like a train wreck. But he's 17, so he's a senior, right? No, yeah, he's a senior. See, I'm a train wreck, right? He's a senior this year, and I keep thinking like he was a junior. You know what? Because we were talking about junior year earlier. Sorry for the brain fart. Yes, no, he's a senior. He's at Sierra Canyon, and awesome. We moved here his freshman. So we moved from Chicago to Los Angeles, his freshman year to play basketball. And at that time, Amari, so his 8th grade year, I homeschooled him. And he had an opportunity to come visit LA one summer and just kind of fell in love with the environment. Like, kids out here actually like support you and cheer you on, or, are supportive of you in the basketball community. It's a community, and everyone kind of supports each other. Where in Chicago, it's a doggy dog world. No one supports. Everyone is your enemy. You could have 80 million points and they're still like, you didn't have 80 million and one. So like that. It was, I think, a great time for him to just kind of transition out, and it was all his decision. I mean, this has been his basketball journey. It's his career. As I tell him, no one understands like your footsteps. It doesn't matter if you play basketball. It doesn't matter if you're the secretary of a firm. It doesn't matter if you're the janitor. Like, only you know what it feels like to do what you do. So my biggest thing as a mom has been to just encourage, support, and do anything that I can to help elevate his understanding, his, excitement, his happiness, his space within that. So, he actually was going to come out here and play at Oaks Christian. And that was a whole joke in and of itself, because I didn't do enough research as a mom. They are a predominantly football school. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. When they were like giving us a hard time with like changing jerseys and like weird stuff, I'm just like, I think I made a bad decision here. So thank God there was an opportunity for him to come to Sierra, and it's been great ever since. I cannot be happier with the move. I can't be happier as a mom to see, a young man, let alone a young Black man, just be able to have the freedom to be him.
That's right.
Sometimes in private schools, you're kind of, let me say this.
I'm getting chills because I know, yes, the freedom of expression that Amari has.
Yeah. You get cool. He gets to be him. But the beauty of it is, so often, like in our community, we say like, Black men being Black men, but there are, white young men at the school who, are into certain things and self-expression in a certain way. And they're not even looked, at funny and odd and, ostracized because they want to be them. So to see a school where all walks of life are present, and it's not like 5 Black kids or, 4 Asian kids and 1 Hispanic kid, it's truly a very diverse community of children to kind of come together and just be themselves. I could care less about the basketball component. I mean, he could have played at the local YMCA as far as I was concerned. Like, it was really just that amazing. So, Magic City, let them tell it. So it's interesting. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to, just in terms of doing your homework, because I actually started off. So my son graduated from high school from Great Valley, but he actually started at a Catholic school, and they had him sitting on the bench, and he was like definitely one of the best players, but sometimes it's like the good old boys club. Like some of the dads were friends with the coach who maybe they golf together. So I felt like my son wasn't getting the time that he deserved. And, I don't want you to give him any special treatment or anything. I just want you to treat him fairly. And him sitting on the bench when I know for a fact that he could play better than some of the other players there, I changed my mind very quickly. And then the next year he was in another high school. So shout out to you for making those tough decisions.
Now, did you get ostracized? Like, did they ostracize you for making those decisions? Did they say because you were mom that? So, did you raise your young man by yourself? Or?
Yeah, I was a single mom. Yeah. Definitely difficult. So I think we can relate on that. But I think it was pressure too because my son was meeting new kids and it was different because he's like, oh, I have to meet new kids. I have to go to a new school. So that could be a little bit challenging. And then some of the parents like, oh, just going to make a decision solely on basketball. But I knew what path my son was going in. And I wanted to make sure that I set him up educationally so he could get because he needed to go. He went to Villanova, but he was going to a good college. And I also wanted to make sure that he had the right basketball experience and the right coach that's going to prepare him for the collegiate level as well.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Yeah, that's dope. Yeah. That's dope.
But yeah, I just wanted to go back to the Sierra Canyon portion and just talk about, I know I used to be a coach. I coached at Windward High School in LA and we played Sierra Canyon all the time. And it was a school of celebrity kids. Like, how do you guys handle all of that pressure, all the eyes on you, just the cameras on all the time? How do you guys handle that? And how does Amari handle the pressure of just being an elite athlete, but it's almost like a pro. It's almost like a pro atmosphere. What is that like?
Yeah. So it's funny. I don't know that the celebrity factor, the dads were present. And that was the part that I think changed him a lot emotionally. And even on the court, to be in an environment where almost every kid on the team has their dad present.
Yeah.
Was really what it was for Amari. And that's something as a mom I couldn't provide. So to see him navigate through that and say, okay, I have to just, it was almost like, I'm not going to say he was performing in front of his dad. But Amari is a guy's guy, he's definitely a guy's guy. And to be in an environment where there were a bunch of dads and then dads who played in the league and didn't just, have a job in the league. Were arguably some of the best guys in the league. The Pippins, the James, Kenyon Martin. It's kind of like, it's just not your local guy on the team, So it's like, I think that's where it was like, okay, I have to become a young man. I have to understand my responsibility. I don't go home and see another man being a man. I see a mom being a mom. And so I think that's for him what was more challenging than just being around, people who are recognized.
Yeah. You're making me tear
up. A
lot
of it, and I don't think that really moves him. It never really has. Yeah, that never really has. It's the present dad aspect. And I think it, emotionally, if I were to really dig deeper, it probably made it even that more challenging for high school because it's then like, well, what is my father's excuse? These are guys who are respectively really, really busy, really, really successful. So what's my dad's reason? Yeah. And so I think that for him, isn't something that's talked about a lot. He's brought it up in different interviews that he's had, but I think that is where the real challenge hit.
Yeah.
And so he kind of took it upon himself to say, hey, one day, God willing, I'll be a dad, and this is never going to be the story for my son. So
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
You were making me tear up a little bit
deep.
because I remember at a time, like when Mikkel was in school, it was in a suburb, predominantly 2-parent household. So I just remember many nights just getting upset because I always felt like I couldn't provide him what everyone else was getting. And, you know, I always felt like I was falling short, you know, because
you didn't though.
I know, but it's a feeling of I can't give him everything, you know, like as moms, we want to give our kids the world, and just coming home and seeing the, you know, mom and dad go to events, like I knew that had an impact on him. He of course never wanted to hurt my feelings, but he always looked, and I knew it was something real. So I can definitely relate to that. And it's definitely hard. And, you know, I always felt like I couldn't be the best mom because I couldn't be a dad and a mom. And for him to be able to see that around him, it was definitely challenging and very difficult. So I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's hard. And it's funny because when you look at, you know, mental health in general, whether you have, you know, 2-parent households or not, it's really interesting how much of like a role as parents we play. And parents fail to realize that absent space is just that. It's just a void, you know, and it's just really, it's really sad. And it goes into a lot of other mental spaces, but but
you're happy now? Shea loves when I cry. You know, you happy now, Shea? Darn it.
I do. Because I love authenticity and I love stories. I love people. And that's healing is sharing, is community, it's story.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I grew up without my dad, so I can honestly tell you, I know how it feels to sit there and watch everybody else's dad, cheer them on, pick them up. You know what I'm saying? Give them advice after the game. And my mom's trying to do her best. She's trying to read, watch. She's trying to do everything she can, but it's really, really difficult. And that's why I have so much respect for single moms, because you can't be that dad. No matter what, you can't, it's just nothing you can do. I mean, you have to accept the father figures that come in your community, but that also opens you up for unwanted attention and crazy guys thinking they can date you because your son's good, or, you know, and I gotta be, so I just understand the dynamic of that. And it's just really, really, it's painful, but at the same time, it makes us stronger.
Yeah, it's interesting for you to speak to not having your dad too. So like, I grew up in an environment where my girlfriend's fathers, when we played basketball, like their dads were present. So their dads were the ones like helping them, you know, get shots up or rebound or whatever it was. You know, they were the ones at practice and talking to the coach and whatever. And I didn't have that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be that for Amari. And so it's actually kind of funny because it's actually kind of turned into like, it's a cool thing. Like now it's like, you know, the guys will come over and they're like, are you going to rebound for us tonight? And I'm like, I just took my pajamas on, but all right, cool. Like, let's go. We're in the gym. So it's like, so now it's like actually turned into more of like a fun space, you know, where it's like, you don't have to be sophisticated or know basketball to watch it bounce out of the rim and throw it to the guy. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect chest passes or perfect bounce passes or perfect, you know, whatever, but just get the ball to the guy so he can put the ball back up. So it's kind of just turned into like fun. I use it as cardio. So my thing is like, and there are times where I like, hey, don't go to the gym without me because I need that second bit of cardio, and that's perfect. So I don't know. It turned into like a fun thing. So.
Well, wait a minute. You just so happen to be a hot mom, right? Like, let's just be real. So when you go into the gym, right? Like, so when she goes into, first of all, when Shea was telling me about you coming on to our show, I was really excited. And then she sent me a picture. I was like, oh shit, she is hot. And she was like, yeah, she is, right? I was like, yeah. So how do you balance that out, right? Because as soon as you walk through those doors, you're hot and people are going to be turning around and those guys are going to be looking at you and checking you out. So how do you balance all the attention with still, you know, staying in your lane with being a mom? Because that's hard.
Because her personality is fire. I just know she about to. I just go ahead. Just tell him.
All right. Well, first of all, I had to realize I need like a text message if you're about to come into the house because this Peloton sits. I have like this great room, and if you're in the kitchen, you're gonna see me on the Peloton. So I had to like, okay, Amari, before you come back to the house, like make sure it's either just you or friends are coming. I need to go sweatshirt, so let me know. Like, give me the privacy to be mom, you know.
Yeah.
But in terms of like game environments, yeah, you know, so here's what's dope. I feel like women, we have a superpower, right? So, you know, God blessed us with having the tools to make children and to multitask and to figure it out. Now, whether we tap into those spaces, you know, you don't, just because you're a woman, you don't have to have kids. And shout out to the women who don't have kids and don't want kids, because they are just as amazing too. But like, because we're just wired with like these boobs and a vagina and whatnot, you know, we have equipment if, you know, we should try, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like you don't just like stop because of that. Now, there are times where, you know, I ask myself, okay, well, should I post this? I know I probably have like, you know, thousands of like, I don't know, 7th graders following me. Well, then their parents need to make sure they put the parental guidance on, you know, and do that together. So, because I also feel like at the end of the day, I did model for 17 years, and some of my biggest work was in lingerie. And I mean, granted, it wasn't graphic and gross and whatnot, but I mean, like, I'm still on packaging. Like, I still have work in production. So it's like, should I like completely cover up and like put on the new maybe the new Balenciaga attire where it's just all one like stocking cap? I should just, I don't know, but like, at the end of the day, like, you know, we are what we are. And yeah, I just feel like rock it out. Like, and if they got something to say, like, they can come holler at me about it. Cause I don't, you know, I could really care less, honestly. I just feel like a woman should be a woman as long as I'm not like, you know, taking off my shirt in front of the basketball team. Like, hey guys, I'm Amari's mom. Like, I'm like, oh, well, like, be respectful and don't look that way. You can look that way. You don't have to look this way. So I don't know. I just think that a mother should be a mother and a lady should be a lady, and you can be sexy and you can still not cross boundaries that are inappropriate. And I feel like there's a fine line, and I try to balance it. Some people think I don't, but I don't.
That's right. Damn right. You could be a sexy mom. Shout out to all the sexy mamas.
Yeah.
How you feel about that, T? How you feel about that? Because you a sexy mom too. I see you when you at the games. How you feel about that?
Well, thank you, Shay.
You're welcome.
Look, I think for me, you know, we talked about this a little bit on our last episode. It's just hard because I try to like not dive into my son's lane. Like, I want to, like, for me, I'm a senior executive. I also, you know, want to be respectful of my own brand. But I agree with Johanna that you can be sexy. So I'll go to the games and I want to look good. I'm a woman, so I want to be cute at the games. But at the same,
you're single too. Let's be real. Like, you're not going to no game with a trash bag on. Like, that's not going to work.
That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Yeah. But I believe in looking good when I step through the doors too, and owning yourself, and you don't have to worry about what other people think about you. Like, do you? Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I love about Jo is like, she's beautiful, but when she opens her mouth, like she captivates you. Like, her conversation runs deep. She can talk about anything, any sport, and the conversation's just vast. And so that's another reason why I wanted her on here, because when I talked to her, I mean, we were in tears together. Like, we were at, where were we? What were we? Amari was training. What facility was that? I want to shout them out. Gaines. What's his name?
Athletic Gaines.
We was at Athletic Gaines. Shout out to them, letting us just talk on the side. And like, we were going deep, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, basketball creates these spaces, these safe spaces to kind of connect, even though basketball is the vehicle, but like, connection is like what it's all about.
Oh yeah.
So I just love that.
Yeah, I agree, Shea. Creating those memories too. Like, I feel like sports in general, you create so many memories that will last a lifetime. And you also, in terms of connections, you meet some really good people. Like, Shea and I met at work when we used to work at the Sixers, and we've been friends ever since. So I call her my little sister, and I love her like a sister. So yeah. So what
That's
do you
dope.
want people to know about you? Like, what is something, because I'm sure people have their own interpretation of who you are. And I'm glad to know too, just, Shea explained a little bit about who what you've done and your modeling career, but what is something that people don't know about you that you think it's important for them to know, that you want our listeners to know?
She's a boss.
Besides your boss.
Well, I don't know. I think very much. I think about a lot. I look at all angles. I do really care about people. I think that because at times I've kind of had a wall up just as a protection piece, because I am a mom, because I am a woman, I'm judged. If you carry yourself a certain way, you obviously can't have any intelligence in certain areas, especially in sports. So there's just more to me, than what you think, meets the eye. And I think that's the biggest thing, but it's also like been my safety net, right? So like when people think I'm like a total airhead, or when they think that, I'm looking for the next rich man to like save me and sweep me off my feet.
Oh my gosh, Shea, I was just talking to Shea about that.
She was just talking to me.
Yes.
I don't leave the house.
Yes.
And last time I checked, they don't come ring on your door. So it's like, It's not trick-or-treating. So I mean, I don't know how I'm going to meet them. You know what I mean?
Halloween is coming up. It's coming up.
Do what I do.
Look, it's too funny.
It's like, it's funny. It's funny because I just feel like people think that I'm after something that I'm really not after. Mm-hmm. And
right.
Hey, I'm cool with that. I've accepted the fact that, I think people just think I'm really just looking for Romeo to just, take over, and, I just sit and go shopping at Chanel. I don't know what the hell they think, but I work very hard.
That's
I'm
right.
very big on principles. I'm very big on morals. And maybe not so much morals, but like the principles of situations. I'm big on communication. We can talk anything out. We can figure anything out. And I expect my children to live as such. So I don't care if Amari reaches the highest of heights. Like at the end of the day, you're a young man. Look another man, another human in their eyes when you're talking to them. Give them the respect that they deserve. Stuff like that. So that's what governs me. All this other stuff. And again, like we live in this social media world, so we can chop it up and microwave it however we want. So
right.
Yeah. I love that. It's funny because Shea and I just had this conversation because I was like all annoyed about
love.
Some colleague of mine was like, "Oh, I know you just want a rich guy. That's all you're looking for." Like, I've never said that out of my mouth ever. So don't make assumptions without even knowing who I am as a person. And I take that very seriously. So shout out to you for just, living in your own space and not letting people dictate your footsteps, because that's not something that we appreciate. And don't make assumptions about people. You guys hear that? It's not okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. So I gotta tell you this. I gotta tell you this quick story. So really quickly. Yeah. So I'm going to my post office box, and like in our area, like service sucks, right? So I didn't want to take a chance like walking into the post office box area to like get my stuff. And so I'm outside, I'm on the phone, and I'm literally like checking emails, and I thought I deleted it, and like the sun is glaring. So I'm struggling, right? I'm a mess again, right? So this guy walks over and he's like, "Hey, now it's COVID. Like, my dude, like nobody's reaching out hands anymore. So like, don't reach your hand out." So I'm like,
6 to 10 feet, please. Thank you.
Facts.
I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, no, he did not just like pull his hand out. Like, bro, like, I'm not being rude, but like just standard protocol is don't reach out your hand. So he reaches out his hand. So I'm like, I'm looking at his hand and he's looking at his hand too. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's COVID. Like, so I pulled my mask up because I'm like, clearly he's not getting it. So I pulled the mask up.
Mask, tie back, gloves.
He's like,
put it all on.
Oh, well, like, did I offend you? I'm like, man, like, yeah, like, I'm not offended. I just, sorry, I was in the middle of something. He was like, oh, I'm introducing myself. He's like, I'm Hermes. I was like, oh, okay, nice to meet you. He's like, what's your name? I'm like, Stacy. He's like, Stacy's the alias. Okay. So I'm like, he's like, oh, okay, Stacy. I was like, yeah, well, nice to meet you, Hermes. I'm like, well, have a good day. He's like, well, did I offend you? And I'm like, yo, like, look, there's no offense taken. I'm like, I appreciate you saying like, hi. I'm like, I was actually like trying to respond. I was actually working. He's like, well, man, he was like, well, maybe if you would have took the time to say hello, you could have gotten a man that maybe could have taken care of you so you didn't have to work. So I'm like, like, right. I'm like, whoa. So I'm like,
not okay.
I'm like, okay, Johanna, do I go to the old Johanna or I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm like, I missed out on that opportunity. I was like, I appreciate it. I was like, but you have a great day. And honestly, I'm so sorry if I offended you by checking an email. And he's like, well, yeah, like you should have Googled me and, you might have realized like what you might have missed out on by and then you wouldn't have to worry about the meetings. And I'm like, huh. So I said, can I just ask you a funny question? Like before you get in your 1998 Cadillac truck,
don't miss out on your opportunity.
I was like,
I'm sorry. That is hilarious.
Yeah. I was like, we're Googling people now. I was like, well, I couldn't even get to Google you because you were stopping me from getting to my phone to even possibly Google what I could have been. Because when you said Hermes, I could have been like, well, wait, Hermes. Like, bro, like, no, I said, maybe you should find beauty in women who find it interesting to actually work. That's right. He's looking at me and it was like I shut him up. And I'm like, yeah. So like, instead of being Captain Save-A-Ho in your 1998 Cadillac truck, like, you don't have to do that. Like sometimes just saying hello and then realizing, maybe you would have gotten the phone number had you have. Well, no, you wouldn't have gotten the phone number. Now, let me not lie to Buddy, but
you know what? Maybe like we wouldn't been talking about you today, though, bro. If you would have came at it differently.
Whoa, like so. But I'm just like, yo, like, but the mentality is like, well, you would have lucked up on it, but you just lost out. I'm thinking, like, bro, like, wow, like, okay,
not okay,
cool, got it.
So I don't know if you know, I refer to Shea as the Love Doctor, Dr. Love.
Oh.
She gives great advice. Okay. But Shea, I mean, this is serious because it's annoying. And what do you have to say when you think about, especially the guys who approach women and think that we are like the damsel in distress and we need to be taken care of? What's your thoughts on it? How do you feel about that, Dr. Love?
She's actually Dr. Love, though, because she gave me some great advice.
Oh, two doctors of love. Okay. Oh, I need some advice from you.
I think a doctor of love always needs a doctor to refer to as to sit down and have a conversation. So I'd like to just do that. Two doctors talking, All
right. Well, let's get. We'll ask both docs. Okay. So Yeah, let's.
No. I was saying it like it's okay. Like Shea could still be the doctor of love, but like sometimes a doctor goes to another doctor and says,
exactly.
Well, what do you think about
consult with each other? For sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
But go ahead. So what do you think? Well, I guess too, also, me and T talked last time about success, successful women and love.
Okay.
And T is a very successful woman in her field, in her own right. And it's really hard to find someone to kind of match her grind, just to match her lifestyle and everything. We're just trying to figure out, like, what are your thoughts? And she asked me this question: is it hard to find love and be a successful woman?
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on that? Because we talk about love a lot. So
yeah, we love love.
I love love too. And I'm definitely an old romantic, right? I am definitely that. But I think it's a matter of perspectives, right? So I think that it depends, if you're looking for the guy to come save you, then that's what you look for. That's what you seek. If you're looking for a partner to share a life with, then that's what you seek. That's what you find. I think we get what we're ready for.
I like that.
I believe that I don't believe that we get things. So I'm a firm believer. So I'm Jewish, but I don't follow religion, I follow like a path, right? I believe that every step that we take, every move that we make is intentional. And I believe that even when we're like, fuck, like, why is this happening? And why me? And why did this have to happen? Or this could have done this and this could, no, like it happened exactly how it was supposed to happen, because there's something to receive in it happening. And I'm a firm believer that we get what we're ready for.
Yeah.
I love that.
People show up in our lives when we're ready to receive them. Situations change when we're ready to accept them.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't believe anything is by chance. And I think that when we're looking for it is what we find. It's when we're not looking for it when we find it. And I think it's intentional. I feel like God has an interesting way of placing things in the right place at the right time. And I don't think anything is by chance.
I love
so that's just my interpretation. Now, when it comes to love, like I do believe that you can love people, but they may not be your soulmate. So I think that you can love people, you can find things that you like, that you enjoy, that you know, have commonalities with or not. But I think a soulmate, I do believe that there's that one person that's intended for you. Number one, I do believe that. But I also believe that in the journey, you can love. Yes. And you know what's so beautiful about that is, Shea, if I can say this, it took the path. It took Shea, you know, taking certain steps. And
Preach.
I'm sure her fiance taking it's like a picture, right?
Yeah.
Why do we love sunsets? Why do we love city views? Why do we love ocean views? Because you can see the whole picture. That's why people fall in love with those spaces. Like, nobody looks at a picture of an apple like, wow, it's so green and it's so round. But like, when you see like the city, you see all the different things. When you see the ocean and the sky like meeting at one point, like there's beauty in that. And because you see the bigger picture of everything. So I feel like in relationships, when you see the bigger picture of what it is, when you look at a person for exactly who they are they part of your picture? And I think that's like the beauty of like love and relationships, right? You have to see them in their picture. Like, you can't see them for what you want them to feel like, what you want them to be when they need to show up. Like,
yeah, I agree. I also think too,
it's a rolling, not a stopwatch. It's never stop. Like, it just keeps going. Like,
we referencing songs now.
No, I didn't. No, I'm sorry. It was a great song. It was just a good song. Like, I didn't even need any. But I mean, but what I'm saying is like, life doesn't stop. Like,
behave yourself, Shea. We have company today.
It keeps going. Like, you have to look at like the picture for what the picture is. And I think that so often individuals have an idea of what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to be. And that's just that. But like, you have to take all the parts of the picture. There might be a trash can that's in the city picture that you don't like, but guess what? There's a whole lot of trash cans behind the front of the building, you know, in the back of the buildings. And that's part of the city. So it's like, you're going to take those out, you know, no. So it's part of it. So I think that when we stop putting our expectations of love on the table versus accepting it for where it is and what it's at, then I think
yeah, I agree. And I also think too, that people are not always in our life forever, right? Like, for a season, for a reason, and it's okay to let them go, right? I think sometimes we think that the folks in our life are going to be in our lives forever. And just through my experiences, I know that that's not the case, and we have to be prepared to move on when necessary.
Well, I think too that, I mean, that goes back to what I believe in, like, part of the journey, right? So like, if we didn't have some sort of takeaway, the problem is we put the expectation on it that it has to be forever.
Right.
We meet someone, right? We like them. It's gelling. It's feeling good. It's, you know, we're liking all these aspects. It's fun. It's good conversation. It's whatever it is, right? But then like, you see things and you're like, oh, well, whoa, well, no, really? And then, but it's like, but then we get stuck on, well, it has to be that. Well, no, why does it have to be that? They just gave us the, wait, no, really? Right. So let's just take it for it's the, oh, no, really? And that's really, really okay. Like, it's okay for it to be whatever it is. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And the problem is when we create the expectation, because we create the expectation, the person doesn't create the expectation.
We do. I know.
We do.
I've been guilty.
We say, of that, well, sure. You're great. Yeah. So don't ever turn. Well, that's not reality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I think that's a very creative thought, the way you painted the picture. And that's the best part about audio podcasts is like whoever is listening to this is going to literally be visualizing all the things that you just said. So I think that's super dope that you put it that way on this type of platform. So that's super dope. Yeah. So I want to ask you about this one particular situation that happened.
Okay.
It comes across my phone. You're at Dodger Stadium and it's like is it a drone? What happened on this day? Please clear up with everybody. What happened on this day?
I don't know what happened on the day.
Tell me. I'm in the dark. So
I don't know. First of all, I don't know what she's talking about.
You're just important enough to spy on in a random.
Okay, I'm gonna need someone to give me the deets. That
was really weird. Okay,
so weird. All right, well let me just say,
what happened?
She was on a date.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I was like, no, it's not a date. It's a business meeting.
Okay.
And next thing you know, Dodger Stadium, I see my girl.
I love ice water, don't you?
Having a lovely
ice
dinner.
Water is great.
What happened? Were you on a date? Were you on a date with someone?
At Dodger Stadium?
I happen to have dinner, and that happened to be the location.
Okay.
All right. Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We'll leave it there.
Okay. Look, I'm sitting here like, you guys are telling me part of the story. I'm like, my ears are perked up and I want to know more.
Basically, she's just an amazing person. And she is to the point where Dodger Stadium is a great place to have dinner.
Okay.
And hopefully she takes me one day. That's all I'm saying.
And maybe I could come.
Shay, I'll take you anywhere with me, baby. I love you.
Oh, I love that.
So
go ahead, T.
Oh no, I was just going to ask, so you've done all these exciting things in your life and you're still young. You got a lot of life to live. What's next for Johanna? What do you see yourself doing next? What should we be looking forward to seeing you do? Acting? Are you thinking about doing a little bit of that? Like, what's next for you?
No, so what we've realized is, it's hard to come by people you can trust, people you can depend on.
Absolutely.
And I think with Amari's kind of next steps, I'm going to be helping him along that journey. So we're kind of putting things in place to make sure, he's good to go. The beauty is I've never wanted to be like the NBA player, right? So I'm not living my dreams through Amari. My dream was to just be a wonderful woman, and if I had children, to be a great mom. And, every day I strive to figure out how to be a better mom. I mean, I have two totally different walks of life. I have a 7-year-old who's like, Mom, come to my spa. I just made a spa and it's free foot massages. And then I had, a 17-year-old who's interested in like, where am I going to college? Should I be going to college? Should I be doing something different? So it's like, to balance that out is like, it's really two extremes. So I'm constantly on a like extreme, like topsy-turvy basis. But I think the biggest thing is just making sure, Amari has the right group of people around him. So I'm kind of putting things in place to make sure he and fellow young men who may need that same help or direction are guided. Because one thing I do know, and I don't know about you as a mom, but you'd be surprised. Like, a lot of people don't know what they're doing. And Shea and I talk about this often. You know, Shea has been such an intricate role in, you know, her brother's life. And, you know, I mean, really without it, you know, so many things could be very, very different. So I think it's critical, because I think as women, we sit and it's no knock to men, because I'm big on what men bring to the table and what women bring to the table. And I think sometimes, you know, they're really, really different spaces and they're different places. But it's the beauty of them. Like, you know, men and women are beautiful for what we bring to the table. So I think it's just a matter of, you know, what you're looking to do. So to answer your question, I'm just going to help Amari with his journey with, you know, all of the business aspects of what moves forward. So
it's a lot. I love it too.
And still be a mom, like, you know.
That T does a lot of that too.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. It never stops. But you know, you said something that resonated with me, and it's trust, right? Like, that's huge. Yeah. And I'm glad that you have Shea in your life, because she's amazing and she knows so much about sports and can help give direction and guidance. I still talk to her for guidance, and my son is in an NBA, but more important is you need your circle of trust. And it's time, and if you already started to form that now, but you got to keep him nice and tight in that circle, because I say this all the time, your kid makes it to the next level, and all of a sudden you get all these relatives you never knew you had, and friends you never had, coaches who said they coached your son you never knew. Like, all these people start coming out of nowhere with these expectations. Facts. So it's so important for you to have your circle of trust, and it's a job, like navigating your son, and you know, you have another child as well. So just balancing that all out is very challenging. But at the end of the day, like, you're starting in the right direction with making sure you keep them nice and close, and being very mindful of who you have around him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And knowledgeable.
Well, my biggest thing is just giving him the tools to understand who's who and what's what, right? Because at the end of the day, I can't be with him everywhere. It's just, it's critical for me to know that he understands, you know, hey, like, oh, you know what? This guy is looking for that, or she's looking for that, or, you know, she's going to do, you know, like, I just want him to have the tools to know who's who and what's what.
And watch those little girls around him, you know, like, okay. Watch those little girls.
I don't even know if they're just little.
I'll leave it at that. Like, wow. Oh, the grown ones too. I know, it's so sad. What, Shea? I feel like what, Shea?
I leave a comment. You know, if I leave a comment on like overtime, you know, underneath something, it's like, oh, why are you? And it's like, oh, my bad. Like, I am, you know what? I am sorry. I haven't said anything. So it can get weird, but yeah,
it's a volatile
girls
place.
Too.
It's a volatile place though. But I love this mother connection, because it's so important to have mothers who know what you're going through.
Yeah.
Especially when you have sons who, you know, are doing really well for themselves and are successful, because people, for some reason, they will find a way to latch on. But when they know they have a strong mom around, they don't play that.
Don't mess with Mama Bear. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't mess with Mama Bear. And it's very important to make sure you and your son.
Well, and that's what's so interesting.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, it's just interesting, because, you know, if a dad does it, it's okay. If a mom does it, it's, you know, she's woo. You know, I don't know how many times I've heard I'm woo, like, oh my God, you know, and I'm not really an animal like that. Like, it's pretty logical. I just asked you a direct question. So
T was talking about that last time. She was saying how someone told her that moms love their sons too much or too hard. Remember what you said or something like that?
Yeah.
I want to know Joe's thoughts on that. Just like, what's the healthy balance? Like, how are you supposed to?
If I say something, it's I want to date. If we take a picture together, it's I want to date him.
That's weird.
And that's crazy.
I'm so baffled. Like, it's a sick, you know, it's just a sick world. But yeah,
unfortunately,
I think that because I don't look like a million years older than him, I guess I'm supposed to, again, carry myself in a certain way. I don't really know, but people are going to be people. And what I realized is, everyone has something to say. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an idea. And like you said, like it goes back to expectations. I think, again, like when you have these family members and when you have these random friends or these random coaches, like everyone has an expectation of who they were, the role that they play, what's going on, when in all actuality, like, again, like that's their expectation. It's not your expectation. So expectations get people screwed a lot of times, so.
Right. And there's something sick about two attractive people, regardless of their relation, that people think they're dating. Like people always used to think me and my brother, not to say I'm super attractive, but
excuse me, you're a hottie. Okay.
You are.
You're a hottie. You're a hottie. So let's just embrace that.
I'm not getting I'm just saying.
We already know you're a hottie, okay?
I'm just saying that like people used to always make weird comments like, oh, your boyfriend, your husband. I'm like, no, that's my brother. Yeah. First of all, you didn't even ask. They just automatically assume either if you're close in age or you look young, or it's just a weird. Yeah. It's a weird thing that society does, and I totally understand what you mean by that, Joe. It's like
absolutely.
Why are you even going there?
Well, I mean, you sit at a basketball game and they think you're dating a person. It's like I was sitting at a basketball game.
You say hi. You can say hi to someone. They're like, oh, she's messing with him. I said hello.
Give him a hug.
Exactly.
Right.
Relax.
Yeah.
But you also can have deep connections with people that are your friends.
And it's totally platonic.
And it's totally platonic, but you guys just vibe really well. You take a photo and the way the photo is like, oh, it's like, no.
We're just friends.
Like people even say that about me sometimes when I'm, because I'm with a lot of men all the time or whatever. Yeah. And then Nafisa's friends sometimes make comments like, yo, Shea is always around. It's like, he's like, I'm good. Like because my man knows I only want him. Like I'm not trying to, but I vibe with a lot of people,
And he's not insecure.
Yeah. And the problem is that it goes back to insecurities. And that goes back to even like about love, right? So like there are plenty of guys who aren't capable of dating a woman like Shea because she is successful. She is beautiful. She is around a lot of successful men, and that's threatening to them. So like if she constantly dates, or excuse me, fiance, but if she dated in her past, like men who couldn't handle that, it's never going to work out, and it's just like in your world, right? You're successful, you're beautiful, you're intelligent, you are going to be sitting at NBA games, you can't date just any guy. And that's not you being a weirdo. That's not you being extra choosy. That's okay. All right. You have to be secure in these environments. I'm a successful woman in my own right. So if I'm talking to you and you're at the game with me and we are, whatever, you have to be able to be comfortable in those environments. So you have to just, know who's who, my biggest thing is know your personnel, like know who you're dealing with. And if you know they can't handle you, just, and then you keep it pushing, like, all right, buddy,
like kick rocks.
Bye.
Right, bye.
Absolutely. I told, and that was actually
where before I would literally call people out.
Oh, I love
that you do that.
Oh yeah,
you call people out a lot, and I love that.
I love that.
I love that. It keeps it authentic, and it keeps people in check when you call people out.
Yeah,
absolutely. But that was one of my criteria.
I do have that bad.
I like it though.
What?
I like when you call.
What was
out.
One of your criteria?
Oh, I was saying one of my criteria was my next man when I was single and I was going through my year of yes when I was just dating was like the security part. Like I have to date someone who's secure. And as soon as Nafis came back in my life, that's one thing we talked about. And he actually knows, people I've dated in my past. Like we had the whole conversation. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that made me fall in love with him is that I could just tell him. I didn't feel ashamed of it. I didn't feel like I needed to hide anything. He just listened to me as if we were friends. And I was just telling him about a bad situation I came out of or, you know what I mean? And I felt like if I can be safe with you, like, and to tell you about my past, like, I feel like that's when I knew I was going to marry him. When I was like, I can be Shea and he accepts me for who I am.
I love that.
So when he asked me, I was like, yes. Like,
and
yes,
that goes back. There were no expectations. None. You kept the expectations out.
Right.
See?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love that. Anything we didn't ask you that you want before we end our episode today. Anything we didn't ask you that you think it's important for people to know?
Or anything you want to ask us too.
Yeah.
So that's open as well.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Just, work hard towards, I know it sounds so cliche, but the second you can't do it is the second, you've doubted yourself, and that's when you can't do it. Like when you really realize that you can do everything. When you say, oh, well, maybe not, or it's not going to be this, or it's not going to be that, you've ended your own career. So it's the thoughts we tell ourselves that ultimately dictate and determine where we go.
That's right. Positivity.
I've heard people tell me that I couldn't do a bunch of things,
That's
but
right.
here we are. So yeah.
I love that. I remember people telling me what my son was like 6 years old, and I knew he had a gift, a God-given talent of athleticism. And I would say, my son's going to make it to the NBA. They would laugh at me. So I'm here to say and attest to, you can do anything you want to do, and I'm glad that people need to accept that though. Cause I think sometimes fear creeps up and gets in the way of the things that of stopping us from meeting our goals because we're just afraid. So the moment we let go of the fear is
I think it's just easier, I mean, no is much easier than yes. Like the answer no is a much easier answer. And people are like people like that easy lane, but if you look at all the greats, nothing was easy. So you either want to be great or you just want to, keep saying no or no, or the excuses. Like, yeah. So don't, we don't live by excuses. We live by hard work. We don't live on handouts. We live on like perseverance and keep going through. And, I think it's just a matter of who you want to be.
Yeah.
So. What a wonderful way to end on that note. I love that. Right?
And one more thing, T, you don't know this, but Johanna's the reason that like I pushed to do a podcast. Like, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like just one of her talks one night. I mean, you already know, she just basically put the fire under me and basically said that like, Shea, you got to do what's in your heart. Like you have it, you have the ability. And I was like, okay. And I had it on my mind. And then when I hit you up and you were so enthusiastic about it, you were like, Shea, I can't believe I've been wanting to do. And I'm like, oh my God, like how did it happen?
That we both wanted to do a podcast. That's crazy.
And it's crazy. Yeah. So Joe, thank you for the push. Thank you for the words continuously speaking like just power to what I'm trying to do and always supporting me. And thank you for being the first guest on Tipping the Scales because you are an example of tipping the scale.
Oh,
so thank you.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you, Joe.
I thank you, and I'm really excited for you guys. So anything I can do or be, I am your biggest cheerleader. I'll work on my moves because I'm really bad at like that 8 count, but I'm here.
Well, keep living your best life, and thank you for inspiring us today. And I'm sure you've inspired others. So shout out to you, and we thank you, and shout out to Amari. And what's your 7-year-old's name?
Savannah.
And shout out to you. Shout out to you, Savvy. I'll come get my feet done. Just let me know when I'm ready.
Well, make sure you guys are following us. Make sure you guys are following us wherever you get your podcasts. Tipping the Scales. We're doing this thing. We'll be back here with another special guest. So stay tuned. T, what we got?
Well, no, I was going to say, look, we have some very, very amazing guests. So you got to make sure you're following Tipping the Scales, like Shea said, wherever you get your podcast. In addition to that, we got a really good topic coming up around leadership. So yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Ooh. Those of you in corporate America or are in corporate America, you're going to want to hear this. So,
all right. Thanks, guys.